Hello, and welcome to my creative knitting podcast and hopefully also an inspirational podcast. My name is Merete, and I'm speaking to you from Denmark. I'm a creative knitter, and I have recently started up knitting my own designs and freestyle quite a bit. And I've also made patterns for some of my designs. My knitting podcast is about my design process and also about my learning experiences and mistakes. And I'm aiming at making this podcast for you to share my experiences, and also maybe I can be of inspiration for you. And I recently got a comment that I inspired her to actually maybe do what she used to do, doing this more freestyle knitting. So I'm really happy that my podcast already has some effect on you guys, and I just hope this can continue. So I also in my previous podcast encourage you to tell me if you have found something that could inspire me back, and and please that is still something that you can do. I got this tip on checking out a guy called Gregory Stitch. He's doing crochet, and he's recently been on a Christy Glass podcast, and I was asked if I wanted to check that out, and I did, and that was actually really exciting to see. He is a dancer, an actor and singer, but has picked up on doing crochet and he does like both really how do you pronounce it, like doing theater kind of looking costumes, kind of crochet wear, you would probably pronounce that. And it is like really different things he does, and he takes orders, like if you want to have something really different, he does that. And he has also started making patterns. He's not on Ravelry, but he may want to check that out too. So I think you should if you're watching Gregory. So that was kind of fun because he has another background that I do, because he works on dance and theaters, and but in a way he also has this kind of creative thing that I do, where he finds an idea and he just does it. So that was really fun to see, and thank you so much for the tip. That was really fun to see. So I should also remember to say that I am writing down in the introduction what I've been talking about. If I talk about designers or YouTube videos, whatever, I will write that down so you can find it afterwards. Yes, I'm just looking at my notes. Yes, and also when I do these podcasts, this is only my third one. I'm still learning what to start to say and remember to say and all that. And but there's something that I feel that I have to continue telling about, and that's kind of my background. But I also talked a lot about that in episode 1, so I have to limit myself, I think. But go check that out if you want to know more about my background. And also, I'm on both Ravelry and Instagram, and I use the same name as YouTube, MereteKdesign, and that's kind of how I figured that my own designs would go under some professional name. Yes. And then I also want to say that I have some really exciting stuff for you to say today. I planned out a topic, but I have a few more things to say before I go to that. After I did episode 2 on my texted time cardigan, I got more really nice comments on YouTube, and I guess I'm kind of new to YouTube as well as the knitting, and I didn't quite know that you could do comments in there. So I was really amazed about the comments that I got, and they were really nice comments. And those comments really encouraged me to keep on doing this knitting podcast and finding really exciting topics to talk about. So that is really good that you've been writing those comments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it a lot. So thank you. Yes. And then there's a few practical things. I have been talking about that I'm on sick leave because I have stress, and at the moment I'm in a time where I'm really burned out and really tired. And so if I don't look as happy today, it's because my head is overloaded. There's not much left energy in my head. So, and but bear over with me. I wanted to do this podcast today anyways because my 2 girls are going on a summer break from school today, and will be home for the next 6 weeks. And I don't think I will be able to do a podcast in that period of time while they are at home. So if you wonder why I don't do another podcast in the near future, that is why. But I'm definitely gonna do more podcasts. I think this is really fun and it's really inspiring for me too. And yeah, I think that's about what the introduction is going to be about today. So today's topic is about I call it construction directions, because in several of my freestyle projects I've been trying to do knitting in different directions, and it doesn't always turn out the way that I figured that it would turn out in my head. So I'm still learning, and actually recently I made a mistake that I made before, and I don't know why I did that. That was quite annoying, but I did. And so today I'm just gonna show you some of the things that I'm gonna talk about, and just to give you an appetizer of what this podcast is going to be about. I'm gonna talk about this sweater that I did last fall. I call it the Beachy welts because of the colors and kind of the waves that it looks like waves that comes into a beach on the sand. And I'm gonna talk about a top that I'm working on, and it started as a top, but it's growing and is becoming a dress. And I call it, because I started out doing a domino square, it's called the Domino top, and then because it's turning out to be a dress, it's probably gonna be named the Domino top dress. I have a thing with names because I find it kind of funny giving my design names, because I kind of relate them to them more, like if they were my babies or something. I don't know. And then on the last episode, I was starting on a top that I'm quite excited about. And if you follow me on Instagram, you have definitely been overloaded with pictures lately. So this top is inspired actually by my Texture Time podcast. I just had to do a top when I was planning that. So already at the last episode, I had started up knitting it. So, and now you're gonna see how it looks like. So this is the front, and it's not done because it was done 2 days ago, but I unraveled it. So what you can't see is that I'm trying to knit a ruffle skirt in mohair at the bottom, and that's what I'm still working on, and I'm gonna show you the back. It's really amazing. Kind of got this butterfly look to it with small holes to it. So this one is, I'm really excited about this one. I started out writing down what I did, and then when I got to the straps, I stopped. It was too difficult for me to write down what I did, actually. And also, I figured that it would be really hard to make a pattern for this, because how am I gonna figure out a size direction for this? I don't know. But those are the three things I'm gonna talk about today. And also I'm gonna talk a little about glitter yarns, and also the use of welts, because I was really hung up on that in the fall. And yeah, and then if there is some time, I'm gonna talk about my yarn collection. But let's see. It seems like sometimes the time just flies really fast. My husband can't understand that I'm doing a podcast for 50 minutes. How can you do that? That's really crazy. Yeah. So let's jump into it. So the topic was about directions. And this sweater is a really good example of that, because I had this vision about making just a top. I didn't originally knit the sleeves for it, but a top where I would work short rows and welts combined with each other, and just make it turn like around an axe, I think you call that. So this would be the starting point right here, and then I would knit like this down, and it would end here at the sides. But now the funny part starts, because when you knit down. So instead of turning, I was knitting it downwards here. So it only turned somewhat. So when I got to the bottom here, I had figured out I had to make increases here to make it still square, because the stitches was going diagonal or in an angle. But then I kind of had this hole at the bottom I didn't know what to do about. So this sweater I knitted with 3 threads of yarn all the time, and even with glitter yarn. And at some point I was like, am I gonna stop this because it doesn't turn out the way that it's supposed to? But then then I have to part all the yarns again, and that would be a really big job. So I decided after a while that I wanted to try and continue to knit and see if I could make it into a square like it was original supposed to. Okay, go back a while so you can better see it. So for some reason I did this part where it's a little bit darker, and I figured that I would make increases here, and then I would make it square over, but then it still didn't do that. So okay, so I was there and I had some stitches, and I just figured, okay, then I would try and make short rows the other way to make it come down here. And then I had so much yarn that I could choose from in different shades, so I just decided to try and make it work with like a different texture. So you can see that here it is stockinette stitch, and it's a much more heavy yarn that I'm using here, actually the same yarn that I did in the welts. And to get this, it's really pretty. It's most of it is Isaiah's yarn, this part in it's alpaca 1 and alpaca 2, and when you knit them together you get this really awesome like merling, and like just it got so many different colors to it, so I like that a lot. So this was a really fun thing, and when I finally had like the front part being a square, I decided to pick up stitches here for the shoulders on either side and just knit the back. And so the back looks like this. I kind of had the plan that there would be welts on the back too, but that was too much work, so I decided not to. And then again, I had to freestyle because it didn't turn quite out as I figured, so it would become a square. Actually, it looks like it's dropping a bit over here. It does. Well, anyways. So so it kind of stopped there. I made it to like a top I could wear, but because it was so warm and it's really thick, I used 3 threads of yarn, and on a size 7 in needle. One moment. A size 7 millimeters in needle is a 10 3/4 US size. I have this little needle size measurement that I can talk with, because then it's easier. I use millimeters, but I probably some of you use US sizes. So, well, so and then after Christmas, I decided that it would be more wearable if I needed sleeves for it. And then I was like, okay, it's not gonna be regular sleeves. So I was inspired with some drawings I've found on Pinterest, actually, like design drawings on sleeves that were like, it's actually easier to show you the sweater because I kind of did the same. So you can see that it's not a straight down sleeve, but I knitted so much, and then I did short rows, and then I knitted the rest of it. And on the other sleeve I kind of did the same, but I did the short rows further down and with welts, and that's kind of fun. I can wear it so you can see it. Just not gonna wear it for long because it's gonna be really hot. So it's got these really fluffy sleeves. So it's fun, and it's got like a nice length on the sleeves. And I didn't write down a pattern for this either because it kind of ran away from me. What I did, there were so many different changes, and I took my necklace off too. So that was just too complicated for me to write down a pattern. But I wanted to talk to you about glitter yarn, and this is a good time because I actually use quite a bit of glitter yarn in this sweater. Not in all parts, but for instance in the back there's glitter yarns in this kind of icy blue section. And I have used glitter yarns quite a lot because yeah, I just like that there are some sparks and things going on. And I have found this particular glitter yarn, this type. It's called Madeira, metallic Madeira, and it's just a really thin glitter yarn that is really it's really supple in the text, in the projects. It's just it doesn't stand out a whole lot. It just gives you this little twist of glitter and sparkle, but not like a really lot. And you can get these in different colors. I got a turquoise once and copper, and I have a gold, and I have a black too somewhere. Do I have other colors? I think you can get it with pink and other colors too. So I think that's fun. You can actually buy yarn where there are glitter yarns in it, and it's because it's spun into the yarn. It's easier to knit with, but actually this is not the best easiest thing to knit with these, because you have to always watch that you get or that it does come into the work. But I have found that if I have actually missed a stitch somewhere, I can like cut it and then like maybe just pull it back a couple of stitches and put the ends on the back of the work. Then you can't even tell that you did it because it doesn't stand out. But I think it's so pretty. So I did it on the sleeves here. Can you even tell? I hope you can. Actually, I also did use quite a bit of mohair in this sweater because it also gives a nice twist to it. I did it in the welts here. Like it was a like a cream white yarn that I used as a base, the big one, and then I had glitter yarns in it, and then this light turquoise green kind of color going with it. So that's kind of neat. Yes, so that was one project with directions, and then I've been doing a few projects where I knitted domino squares. excuse me. Yarn all over. And then I did that here in this one. I started here with the lighter color. The orange one came on later. After I picked stitches up, I knitted the other way. But I started doing a domino square with this lighter hand-dyed color. And then knitted this. And then this is fun because when you knit a domino square, in the center you knit 3 stitches together, and over here to keep the vertical growth of the fabric, then you have to cast on stitches over here at the same time. But then when this is just the way I knitted this is actually just on the right side I knitted all stitches and did the increases and decreases, and on the wrong side I did the seed stitch where I knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then I had to fit it so I purled the center stitch on the wrong side so it stayed as a knitted stitch all the way up. And I kind of like this texture. I'm gonna knit more with this because it kind of looks like seed stitch, but it doesn't anyway, and it also looks like slip stitch patterns, but it doesn't. It's not. And I don't like purling stitches. Most knitters doesn't do that, so that was a way to do that. But then when I got to this mesh part, let's see. You have to see what I did. On the right side. See here. I was knitting 2 together, yarn over, knitting 2 together, which makes the fabric take a turn like this, and that fitted perfectly because I did have already a diagonal part here. So when you do this pattern, the mesh pattern, it automatically get this kind of diagonal turn. You will know this if you knitted some of Stephen West's project because he uses this technique as well in his design. So over here I did the knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, and then it comes up this way, and on the other side after the center stitch I did the opposite. It was slip slip knit, yarn over, slip slip knit, yarn over, and then it takes the other direction, so you can actually make it fit exactly so it continues straight up. And then I actually was kind of bored with doing purl stitches again, so I I knitted all stitches on the wrong side, which gets more like a textured kind of mesh, so I kind of love that too. And the back side is kind of the same. I just did the mesh part sooner, so and made a lower back on it, so that it comes down a bit. I like the lower back part. Yes, and then I knitted the front and back side together, doing a actually I did the Stephen West where you pick up stitches on either side as you go along. I asked him if that was okay. I did that if I did a pattern, and he said that was totally fine if I would just refer to his patterns for directions, and of course I will do that. See, I don't know if this one will end up in a pattern. We'll have to see. I'm just gonna stop for a few seconds. So, sorry about that interruption. And then I picked up stitches at the bottom. And then again, I had to think about directions. I had to cast on stitches. Well, actually, see, I was working like this. I had to cast on stitches at the center stitch and knit stitches together over here to continue working this way up. So that was opposite of the domino square where I knitted 3 stitches together in the centers. Now I have to make increases to make more stitches here. See? And less stitches here. And now the funny part comes, because I wanted to do the skirt. And because I wanted it to go out a bit and not just straight down anymore, I was like, okay, I have to make increases to do this. And I made increases and it got really wide. And so I was like, what is going on? What is going on? And then finally I realized, so stupid. Because I was working with stitches in an angle, and suddenly I'm knitting straight down, then you should actually think of the stitches that you have between my fingers here and turn it downwards, and then there's gonna be more of it. It's gonna what would you say? Fill more? No, that's not right. The size between my fingers is going to be the same when you turn it down. So that's kind of funny, because then if you don't cast on any new stitches but just knit downwards, then it's automatically gonna fill more. There's more to it. I don't speak very good English today, I'm sorry. But can you tell what's going on? It's kind of got a hip in here, just automatically, just by knitting downwards. So I actually just use that technique on either side. And then it just gets the right size. So simple as that. So and the reason actually why this one is not done yet is because of my yarn storage issue, or whatever you would call it, because in my yarn collection I usually just have like 1 or 2 skeins of the same color, and for this project I didn't want to go out and buy more yarn, so I wanted to use from my collection. And for some reason, when I didn't have more of this green yarn, I was like, what to do? So the bottom part here that I'm working on is like the 4th time I'm doing this, because it didn't look good either way I tried it, but I think maybe it'll work now. So I just have to continue, and then I'm gonna show you the finished one when I'm finished with it. But I have really had doubts about it, if I should unravel to here and just make a top like I originally planned, or whatever, make a darker color. But I think I'm just gonna stick with it now. I'm pretty happy about it anyways. And I did talk about that I have only I don't really have like any summer knits. I only have 1 summer knits, and then I have my necklaces. So but as you can see, one is in process, and the next one I'm gonna talk about is in process, and I have one more that is in process, but I think it might not turn out to be a summer top anymore. So this one I'm wearing today is actually hot, even though it's not a lot I'm wearing. It's my Dreamy Necklace that I did a pattern for. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk that much about it. I did that in my first episode. So the last project that I want to talk about, I did exactly the same mistake as in this one. So why do you do that? So I was going to make this ruffled skirt, and again I had this kind of diagonal shape in the front, just like the domino square, and I was going to knit it downwards again, and I didn't think, because then I would have known when you knit downwards the stitches are going to fill more out in the sides. So I started on knitting front back in each of the stitches here in the purple section, and then the ruffle part was a lot, because suddenly there was a lot of knitting, and then it wasn't as bad in the back. So I unraveled everything. I had even made an I-cord and had weaved in all the ends, but like less than an hour later I was starting to unravel everything. But now I have been doing kind of the same thing as in the domino top dress. I have decided just to knit these stitches and not making new increases, and then I am making increases on the back, knit front back in this part, and then again on the other side no increases. And then I have also changed needle size. I'm using 3.5 millimeters on most of it, and then it is a US size 4. And then I have changed needles to a 4.5 millimeter, which is a size 7 US size. So both the needle size and the increases are making the ruffle part here. And I really hope this works. I am so excited about this top. Actually, when I was done 2 days, I couldn't help when wearing it. I was just shaking because of the ruffle part, which is really fun. So I hope this one will turn out the same. The ruffle part is going to be down to about here and just come like in this direction. And I am doing this by making short rows. It's not really that difficult, because instead of knitting in a round, I knit back and forth, and then I can make the short rows so it's really short at the front, and then it's becoming deeper and deeper in the back. I love it. And this one is kind of crazy in the colors, I admit it, but I don't know, I can't help it. And also I'm really inspired by in Africa they make this Ankara wax print fabric that they make clothes in, and oh god, you have to go and check those out. That fabric. If I was a sewer, I would definitely buy some of that fabric. It is amazing, and also the designs they do are amazing. So I'm really into that at the moment. Actually, I think I'm gonna add a picture here of a dress that I really love, and because I also love the colors. It's got this kind of raspberry red to it, and then purple, I think, and yellow, and it looks amazing. So I think I'm gonna do something in those colors when I find a raspberry color. So well, I'm gonna share this one when I'm done. Just have one more idea to it that I haven't shared. I might see if I can get like a grass green color ribbon and then put it into those holes here. See if I can. So you can see the holes all the way to the side here. So it could be really cool to just add like a ribbon here and then I braid it into these holes, and then down here like make a big butterfly, something, a bow. I mean, it's called a bow in English. So I'm scared that this is gonna be way too hot for summer. So I have been looking into if I could get a see-through long sleeved t-shirt. I've seen those a couple of times, like in different colors, and I'm looking into if I could get one of those, because then I could wear it more like in the fall and in the spring. So I'm looking into that. Yes, see, that was a long talk about directions, short rows. Yeah, I didn't talk much about welts. I had this idea once because I saw that when you're doing the welts, you I don't know if you know this, but you make them by knitting like 6 rows usually, and then in one color, and then you can knit them together on the back side. So what actually this, if I hadn't knitted those together, it would have been a lot longer fabric. And then I've seen that some people have been doing, like they have knitted together the welts some of the way and then just left it open the rest of the way. And that kind of also makes like, you can use that then you would, a welt for this part would be smaller and then wider at the end, and then you could turn around and make a smaller welt this way and then a not there. Does that make sense? So you could kind of work with stripes in a different way, in a odd way. So I also thought about doing something with that, but that's kind of got on hold now. So not so much into welts at the moment. What else? Maybe. Hi again. I just realized that I totally forgot to tell you a really nice things that is going to happen in July. So I just wanted to add that to the podcast. The thing is that I'm attending 2 workshops with Stephen West, which I'm really excited about. It is Yarn Freak, a knitting, a yarn store in Aarhus in Denmark, who is hosting workshops with Stephen West, and I'm attending the baby Pengweeno workshop, which is why I had started up a baby Pengweeno for my daughter, just a little bigger so it will fit her size. And I will also attend a workshop about shawls. So yeah, and I'm really excited to meet Stephen again, and I'm gonna bring my texture time cardigan to show him, and probably a couple of other things that I've been working on. And I'm also gonna see if I can ask him for more advice on developing my own designs. So that is really exciting. It's going to be on July 9th and 10th, I think. And I will definitely be talking about that experience in my next podcast. So if you're interested in hearing that, please tune in. I have met Steven before. I talked about that in my introduction episode, and he's just the most sweet, amazing guy you can imagine. Imagine he's so easygoing and so helpful and sweet, and well, there's not words enough to describe that man. Yeah, so if you ever get to meet him, you should definitely go for it. Well, maybe I should actually show you my yarn collection, and if you're interested in seeing my yarn collection, you can continue with this video. If not, then have a really nice day, and I hope that you will subscribe to my podcast if you want to get notifications when I have posted a new podcast. And also give me a thumb up if you like what you see, then I know that you like it, and I will continue making podcasts of the same kind. If you have comments on things you want to know more about or less about, then let me know about that too, and I will try to work it in. So yes, so have a really nice day if you are leaving my podcast now, and have a really good summer if I don't see you before. So bye bye. Hello, so I'm back, and I want to show you my yarn collection, but at the moment you are looking at my mannequin. I talked about that you couldn't see it because I use it for a tripod for my phone when I do my podcast, but now you can see it, and I'm just gonna show it really quickly. You can't even tell in here, but this is a kind where you can make it fit to your own measurements, which is kind of nice. So I know when I put clothes on this one, then it fits me. Yeah, so this is what it is, and if you are able to get one and you want to design your own things, then I can really recommend it, because it makes it so much easier to shape your knitting projects. Yeah, and then you're gonna see a bit of my living room, and my knitting yarn storage is actually doesn't look of much on my yarn collection. So I'm just gonna point the camera to these two cabinets because that's kind of what is my yarn collection. So this is pretty much it, but then I also have in the top, you can see there are some bags here. These 3 bags are with yarns that I'm preparing for projects, and I also have put down here, you can see I also have some knitting projects that I'm working on here, and this one is also one I'm going to do. So I already picked out yarns for the ones that are in the bags. So I know those go together, but usually when I am doing a project, I have a vision of some kind of color, and then I take these boxes out. And I'm just gonna take them out and then pause this for a moment, because otherwise it's gonna hit the television or something if I do that one-handed. So one moment. So now I just actually pulled out all my yarns. And as you can see, I have kind of arranged the colors in like the same colors in the boxes. So I got a pink reddish box and a green and a blue. And then I have more yarn that I can't fit into the boxes that are just at the sides. So this is all my yarn actually. And what I do usually when I have an idea, I pick up like a color that I have the idea about, like this one, and I'm like, what can go with this one, because I don't want it to be all blue. But it could be nice, but that's just not the way I work. So I would look into that, and I could probably find, actually I've been looking into like a project where I would use like this really bright blue with pink, and I would pick up here some red, maybe a more red. Like this one. Maybe this pink is not good enough. Oh, I'm gonna put it back. And then I was looking in, and then I can kind of look at these colors I found in a picture, and I really like those together. But if I don't think that they are quite the colors in my mind, I might buy something new. But this could be something that I would work into a project. Got this really brown, kind of cool color to it. And also the colors would kind of make directions for me on a pattern, or what texture I want. I kind of like the brioche knitting, because you can do 2 colors without making like stripes. Well, you get like more of a vertical stripes than horizontal, and that's kind of neat, I think. And so also these colors looks really nice together, and I would really love to do something with yellow and purple too. So actually I got these lavender purple. Could go with these colors actually. And where is my yellow? There is my yellow. I have so much yellow somewhere. This one is kind of a neon yellow. I actually don't like this yarn very much. I think it's too textured, it's too rough. I like the more soft kind, but if you knit it together with something, I've heard it's okay, good. Let's see, where's my yellow? This is not right. So you can probably hear that I'm crawling around on the floor. This is actually how I get inspired, because then where's my color something, and I'm hunting it down and trying and lay it besides the other colors. And you should do this, it's so much fun. And then I could like put those together, or just these two. Or maybe even, I've been to Stephen and Penelope in April, and I just went nuts. I figured, how often do I go to that store, so I'm gonna spoil myself. This is Citroen by Westknits wool with this lavender. And even taking this, I'm quite crazy about Handdyed.dk, a Danish dyer. She does some really nice colors, and it's not quite as expensive. This one is a lace weight, so there are 800 meters in this one, 400 grams. So I would use this together with another yarn and merle it. Like this purple one is not really thick either. And then I could merle it together. And maybe even use another color together with that one. Maybe this one. You have to do this, it's so much fun. Yeah. So now I can't even stop, you can see. And I got some new yarns that was on sale, and this one got glitter to it. This one got sequences. Yes, and then there are like these really bright colors. This is like a Suri from Sandness yarn. And this one is also one of those lace weight ones from Handdyed I used in one of the designs that I'm writing a pattern for. Look at these colors. Love it. Yes. And so my brilliant 10-year-old daughter, she is a really talented yarn or color. What do you say? She's good at putting colors together. So I'm going to do a baby Pengweeno for her, but I'm trying to size it for her size. And she picked out these colors. There's one with copper glitter. And I started out knitting the back of it, and she picked out these colors. Kind of got this green to it. And then this one I really like. I also use it in my Beachy welts sweater. It's easier. It's the one that's called Ice Blue. It's really light, but still it got these speckles of blues and grays to it. I really like to knit with this one. This one is going to be in my collection all the time. And then she picked out these greens and blues. And it just looks really nice together. How does he do it? So this is gonna be a really amazing one for her. She got glitter in it too. Yeah, so she's really good at picking out colors that goes together, so I'm might gonna ask her for advice more than I do at the moment. So that is fun. And what else? Should I show you more of things? Let's see. Yeah, I think my box with red colors is the one that are most full. This yarn is actually something that I got from my mom. I don't know what to knit with this. Maybe it could go into here. It would be fun. What could you knit with this? If you have any ideas, just let me know. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up. And I think I told you everything about my yarn collection, except that I actually do have a bit more. I have this pretty desk with all my yarn in it and things. And then I also have like these colors. I could actually use those for something. And also I have this drawer with, this is also lace weight yarn that I could use, and glitter, and sequences. So you gotta have something of that. That's so much fun. So yes, I think that's about it. I'm gonna wrap it up. So have a really nice day, and I hope you liked what you saw, and have a really nice summer. Bye bye.